everybody. My name is Knoedl. I'm librarian here at Conroe High School, and today I want to share with you a story about Ben Carson. He's an American success story. The reason I want to tell you about Ben Carson is because it's an amazing story, and I really attribute a lot of his success to his mother. I don't think mothers always get the credit that they need, but this was an amazing woman. She was very self-sacrificing. And let me tell you about Ben Carson when he was growing up. So her job was to go around cleaning houses. She was cleaning houses for some attorneys. She went to one attorney's house and she asked him one day, she said, "Did you read all of these books?" And he said, "Most of them." She went home that evening, she turned off the TV, and she told her sons, "From now on, you will read 2 books every week and do a book report." And they were thinking, like, who are you and what happened? But they did what she said to do. Also, she made them go to church every Sunday. And the reason I'm telling you that is because when I think of our mission statement here at Conroe High School, our mission statement for students is to be good citizens. And so going to church was her way of getting him to be a good citizen. And then the other part of our mission statement is to teach kids so that they are academically ready for the real world. Well, going to church helped him with his citizenship. He's a great citizen. But doing all the reading helped his academic success. So I really like that story. So what happened is that he had to read all these books, and the more he read, the more interested he became in books. What I think is really interesting, though, is that she didn't know how to read. So, like, they'd write their reports, and they would give it to her, and she'd look at it, and she's like, good, And so I like to tell the students at my school that he accidentally got smart. Because I do believe that everything we try to teach students in especially English classes, you can really learn on your own. There's a lot of examples of people who just read and became very smart. So one time he was in a 6th grade class, and the teacher held up a rock, and it was a rock just like this. Do you know what kind of rock this is? Well, no one knew except for Ben Carson. What was interesting, though, is when he was in elementary school, he was in the special education program. And you know how kids are. I mean, when he raised his hand, they were like, "You're the stupidest kid in 5th grade." That's a quote from his book. And of course, the teacher said, "Ben, what is it?" And so he said, "Well, that's obsidian." This just goes to show like how much he read. That's obsidian, and it comes from a volcano, and when it cools, it becomes shiny like this. And he went on and on to say a lot more than that about this kind of rock, which is a very cool rock, by the way. And the teacher said, "You know what, Ben, that's really great." So he said, "I want to see you after class." Teachers, if they know that students are interested in learning, I mean, they will like bend over backwards. They already are hard workers, but when you know somebody is really passionate about learning, they will stay after school and do whatever it takes. I mean, as long as you're doing your part. Well, Ben realized that felt better. It felt really good to, I call it success breeds success. So he continued doing really well in school, and the teachers paid attention to him, more attention to him than usual, and that was really good. He really enjoyed just the knowledge. But he had a problem. He had a big anger problem, as a matter of fact. And one day he was out with his friends, I think in the, I don't know, it's PE or something, and one of his friends turned down the radio. And he said, "Turn that radio back on." And the friend said, "No." And he said, "Turn it on." And he got madder and madder and madder, and you can just imagine what happened. He got so angry that he turned around and he picked up a butcher knife. And he said, "I said to turn it up." And his friend wouldn't. So he just took the butcher knife and he went, "Ugh," like that, right here. The reason his friend didn't die is because he was wearing a big old ROTC belt buckle. But I tell you what, that was a wake-up call to Ben Carson. He walked into the closet. He prayed for 3 hours and he asked God to help him with his anger. He will tell you in his biography that he stepped out of that closet and he never had an anger problem again. I mean, he really took control of his emotions, which is a wonderful thing. We all can learn from that. So now he had his anger under control. That was a good citizenship part. He was academically successful, and then eventually he went on to college. Everything he did, he wanted to be the best. And his mother was right there all along the way. Ben, you can do it. You know, you are the best. You can do it. And she was very encouraging to him. Well, he went through college and he graduated. Now I'm going to change gears just a little bit. Some of you may have remembered those 2 Iranian twins. They were attorneys and they were joined. So if you can imagine, say it's me and my twin, everywhere I go, she goes. I go on a date, she goes on a date. I go to the store. Everywhere I go, she goes. If you can imagine, they were 23-year-old Iranian twins, and they called, guess who? Dr. Ben Carson to lead the team of surgeons. I think there were 50 surgeons, because they decided that they no longer wanted to live that way. I mean, he had actually separated babies, but it had never been done where you separate adults. So they called him to lead the 50 surgeons. So I asked this question. Knowing how successful he was, do you think they lived?
Yes.
I trick people every time with my body language. No, they didn't. And when I say that to students, they're really shocked. So you would think, well, why? Why would he do that? Because that's what we would think. 2020 later, I was watching 2020 and they were interviewing him. And they asked him, well, Ben Carson, did you think they were going to live? And he said no. So when I saw that, I was like, well, why did you agree to do the surgery? And he said, because everything's a learning experience. And not only that, because they knew exactly what the percentage of, they knew the percentages. And they knew that they had a 50-50 chance of surviving. And knowing all the facts, they still wanted to do it. So he said, they told me, yes, after everything you've told me, yes, we want you to do this. And he said, and I agreed, knowing that there was a chance that they may die. But I also knew that if we did this, there could be something that we learn, and that would help us with someone else. So that's why I did it. So that's basically the story in a nutshell. It's a great story, and I like to tell this story to students because I want them to know that if they live in America, the land of opportunity, the best country in the world, that no matter who gets in the way, just consider it a bump in the road and go around it. If it's teachers, if it's parents, if it's friends, whatever, just consider it a bump in the road and go around it. Because you know what? You live in America. We have great resources. And really there's no excuse not to be academically successful and a good citizen in this country. So this is his newest book. When I tell that story to kids, they are encouraged to read it. This is his newest book. I saw him recently at Barnes & Noble. They made a movie about his life that kids really love. It's very well done with Cuba Gooding Jr. And I would encourage you to read this book and share this story, because I think it really, it's a great story. I mean, the whole goal is to get American kids reading and feeling successful and making a difference in the world like he is doing. So, once again, I'm Ann Knoedl at Conroe High School, and I really do want to encourage you to read. You know, I think a lot of times in my experience, I have found that kids don't think reading is a wonderful thing. But once they start reading, they're pretty amazed. And so Ben Carson is just one example of people who have changed their lives for the better by reading. So you can get his book, you can buy it, you can check it out at the library, you can borrow it from a friend. It's on the Kindle. Lots of opportunities to read his book or any other book. And I would just say, if this isn't your kind of book, read anything that interests you. And I think you will find that success breeds success. Thank you for watching. I would encourage you to, what? You're staring at me like...